I'm so sorry that yet again another series of sad milestones, the 1000th day for Nazanin being in prison. You've had another Christmas without her, her 40th birthday. How are you feeling about all of this? It must be such a difficult thing for you and your family to cope with.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. It's been sort of looming for a while. Certainly, Nazanin's 40th of all of them was the one that was playing on her mind as a time that, you know, we all feel old when we get there and obviously reassess where we are in life, and she was stuck behind bars. And that looming has been for the past few weeks. I have to say, actually, when Christmas came, I was down with my mum and dad. So to be with family was still nice to have that moment, and we were able to speak to her. So there was a brief moment of being together.
And on her actual birthday, your daughter, who is over there, isn't she, staying with grandparents? And the reason for that is because you want her to be able to carry on seeing it. It's a source of huge comfort,
Yeah, and I can't get a visa to get there.
You can't get a visa to get there. Was your daughter able to go and see her mum?
Yeah, so Wednesday was a visiting day. So went in and Gabriella had made a necklace for her mum. So very proudly took a necklace in. Also, Nazanin had made a little cake and Gabriella could blow out the candles and wished her her mummy freedom for her birthday. So there was a little moment where they were able to be together.
How does Gabriella cope as well and on an ongoing basis with this situation? Because it must be so difficult for a child to understand what's going on.
I think she doesn't understand. In some ways, we're lucky she doesn't understand because she's so small. You know, children appreciate the world as it is. They don't question it too much. So as she's got older, she's asked more questions and asked, well, why are you in prison, mummy? And well, prison's for naughty people, mummy. What did you do that was naughty? And obviously, having the relationship with her mum, interestingly doing. I mean, why the necklace was doing craft and doing art together is the thing that sort of has become increasingly important to hold them.
Normality.
Yeah, and it's that little point of doing something with each other. So Gabriella now does lots of drawings the whole time. Very, very proud of her doing drawings. When Jeremy Hunt, the Foreign Secretary, came out, she insisted on doing a drawing for him to give to his little girl. There's a way in which that's her, her way of communicating. Because, of course, linguistically, she can't talk to Daddy really properly, but she can still do drawings. So drawings are what she does, and with her mum, with her dad. And
we saw recently, didn't we, a similar case with a very different ending with Matthew Hedges, the British student who was out investigating and looking at the Arab Spring and how it might affect the United Arab Emirates, and he was incarcerated there. And it obviously, for many people, and of course for you, my thoughts immediately thought, God, how must you be feeling? Thinking, how is this going to end? And then he obviously came out. It was negotiated. How is that for you? Because that must be quite bitter for you, mustn't it, to see somebody else in a very similar situation, innocently incarcerated in a foreign land, and then home, and your wife is still there 3 years on?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, went two ways in truth. So actually, with Daniela, who's Matt's wife, I'd been in sort of touch with her about with the Foreign Office and complaining in different ways. Is the government doing enough? And in fact, I was with her. We were with a number of families the night that Matt was released and was at the airport, and that was just lovely to actually be with her with that sort of feeling of what it's like when it's beginning to be over. Of course, you would think, well, gosh, one day it'll be our turn.
And what is the latest from the Foreign Office, from Jeremy Hunt? I mean, you saw him, didn't you, recently at a vigil?
Do you feel that the government's doing enough?
Like, I've been critical all along. I've said Jeremy Hunt's been very clear, very strong. He went to Tehran, a month ago.
Is that him with your daughter there?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So he went to Tehran, met with Gabriella. That's him. In fact, that's a book that he gave her. He's been very clear that Nazanin's innocent. He's been very clear that she should be released. He tweeted on her birthday, he tweeted on Christmas to say he was remembering her. So he's been very clear in saying, listen, that she should be out of prison. He's also said there'll be consequences to Iran if she's not released.
Except when does that line cross? Do you know what I mean? She was sentenced to 5 years, wasn't she?
Yeah, and there's a second court case hanging over and all sorts of other nonsense. I mean, for me, today is actually the line where, OK, it's now 1,000 days. He'd asked for her to be released for Christmas. We've gone past Christmas.
So you feel that stronger action has to be taken?
Now we'll be pushing for two things, probably quite clearly. One is I think this should go to the UN Security Council, and there's a way in which the government can organise a meeting. It's called the ARIA formula, but to put this in front of the Security Council, say, listen, it's not just Nazanin. There are many Brits and Americans and Canadians and there are other Europeans who are being held, and say, listen, this is an issue that's just it's not good for the outside. It's not good for Iran as well, that people can be held in this way. And the second one is, I think I've been on this show before talking about it, there's something called diplomatic protection, which is where you say, OK, all the suffering that's happened to Nazanin, we're going to take that as though that's an insult and suffering to the British state, and we're going to make a formal dispute between the UK and Iran over Nazanin's treatment. So we've put in an application for that, which has been on the Foreign Secretary's desk.
So it goes beyond trying to persuade and cajole and talk and keep...
And ask nicely and so on, yes.
So the carrot sort of ends and the stick
I mean, you know,
begins
there
in a
might
way.
be space for carrot afterwards, but to say, listen, there are consequences and yeah,
and in the meantime, that wait continues. How is Nazanin's health? Because I know she'd had some health issues, hadn't she?
Yeah, no, I mean, so that obviously her mood is very up and down, and as I say, we've been very, very despondent the past few weeks, and that has health consequences, and she's again had lumps found in her breasts and pains with them. Huge worry about that, and the prison doctor said, listen, you need to see a specialist to get it checked. Prison authorities refused that to happen. She's also got a problem with pains in her neck leading to numbness in her arms and legs, and again was complaining about that this week. So there's problems. There's a clear problem where the prisoners are refusing to allow access to medicine. We don't know how bad, but gosh, yeah, it can be very worrying from this distance.
Well, she's lucky she has you being so strong and continuing to talk about it and continuing to put pressure on. So
yeah, I think to continue to push for all of us, it just keeps.
Thanks for coming in to talk about it.
Thank you.
Really hope that action's taken swiftly.
Thank you.